Welcome to my vlog. This one is USC or bust. USC being the University of Southern California. I'm going to tell you how magic happened. And I got my master's degree there on a scholarship. I'm going to tell you all about that process. Wait for it. All right. Welcome to Ukulele the Pros. I'm Terry Carter. Thanks for being here. This is my vlog, the video edition of my blog. If you haven't done so, make sure to check it out, blog.ukulelethepros.com. We got, besides the stuff that I post, all these kind of my story, how I got here, my life as a professional studio musician. We also have great articles up there on almost any topic you could possibly even imagine. So again, blog.ukulelethepros.com. But if you're new to this channel, which is our YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on that bell notification. That way you don't miss anything we do. And trust me, we post a lot of stuff, and there's definitely something that we do that you're going to love. All right. I just am blown away by how amazing my Koaloha concert, KCM 00. By the way, this one is pretty special. Thanks, Brian, Koaloha, for hooking me up with this one. But that's not what this one is about. This is not about the Koaloha, although you can get these at the #1 store. That's store.ukulelethepros.com. This is about my journey and how I became a Trojan. I got goosebumps because, man, I'll just tell you this. We can talk about, by the way, when I say Trojan, I'm talking University of Southern California, Trojans up in LA. That's my school. That's my alma mater. That's where I got my master's in music and studio jazz guitar. And it's changed my life. It's absolutely changed my life. And it was totally unexpected how it happened. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this one. USC or bust. I'm going to talk to you about a little bit what was going on and how I even got accepted into USC because it shouldn't even happened. It was one of those things that there's certain things in your life that I believe happen to you that you have to just open up and be willing to accept that you don't. It's not control as so much as just that it's maybe destiny. And it's just maybe one of those things that it's meant to be. And this is one of those stories. I'm going to share it with you right now. Let me just do a little play and then we'll get out of here. All right, got to do a little break here just to play. I say get out of here. We're not getting out of here. I mean get into the story. All right, here's the situation. It's 1999. That's right, 1999. I'm finishing up my undergraduate degree in music education at San Diego State University, and I literally had no clue what I wanted to do. All I knew one thing is that I really didn't want to become a middle school, elementary, high school music teacher. That was one thing even though I was studying to do that, I wasn't feeling. I wanted to play guitar. That's what I was doing. I wanted to do music. I wanted to be a professional musician. And my girlfriend at the time, now wife, but my wife Heather, she was like, "What are you going to do when you graduate?" And I literally I had one idea. I'm going to Europe. That's my goal. I'm going to Europe, and I'm going to spend a couple months in Europe traveling around. That's really all I had planned. And she's like, "Why don't you look into going and get your master's degree at UCLA?" So, okay. All right, never really thought about that. Let me just check, all right? So I'm on the computer, right? This is back in the day. There's dial-up internet. We were looking at dial-up internet on my mom's Dell PC computer. And I was checking out UCLA. Oh, cool. Kenny Burrell's there. Kenny Burrell's a great jazz guitar player. Played with everybody, John Coltrane, anyway, great. And I was like, cool, that looks great. Except for they didn't really have a master's degree in jazz guitar. They had some degrees in ethnomusicology. Well, that's not what I want to do. I want to play guitar. I was spending, I was practicing 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. I was practicing guitar all the time. I was playing. I wanted to play. I wanted to record. I wanted to get into the studio. And so I was like, okay, that's not really an option. So I decided to check out USC. Oh, USC. Oh my gosh. They have a studio jazz guitar program. Well, guess what? USC is about 5 miles from where I grew up in San Gabriel. And my grandparents, who live in Monterey Park, which is right next to Alhambra, San Gabriel, we're all in the same area, who I love dearly, and were really crushed when we moved to San Diego when I was a kid. They live right there too. Oh my gosh, this could work out. So I go to USC, right? I apply. Well, it just happens. This is the fate part about it. I'm just checking. Okay, everything's recorded. This is the fate part about it. At the time, I don't know even why I did this. I was studying upright bass. I'm not talking about electric bass. I'm talking about the big upright bass, the double bass. I was studying that with a teacher, Kristen Chord, fantastic jazz bassist, singer. She's unbelievable. And I was studying with her at the time. And I was digging it. I like bass. We're doing some jazz, walking bass lines. We're doing some Mendel, bowed, classical stuff as well. And so I applied to USC, and she's like, just like had Frank Matenza on her album. And Frank Matenza was the acting chair at USC. What? What kind of coincidence is this? So she's like, I'm going to talk to Frank about you, because she was like, I dig your energy. I dig what you're doing. You're a guitar player. You're playing bass. You're driven. You're practicing hard. You work hard. I like that. I'm going to talk to Frank about it. So she talks to Frank, right? Frank just happened to be this amazing jazz guitar player. Still is. Matter of fact, I just talked to him. He just called me like a week ago. It was out of the blue. Like when you see my phone is Frank Matenza, it's like, I'm like, you definitely answer that, because now he is the chair. He was the acting chair at the time. Now he is the chair. And so she's like, I'm going to talk to Frank. And so anyway, this is a little bit of a blur, but literally I remember I got an email from Frank saying, like, we just lost. Like this is that thing I was telling you about. I got goosebumps talking about it. Like you can't predict it. Like it was so late. Like applications were due months ago, right? There's no way I could get in. I was so late in the game. And he was like, we just lost one of our teaching assistants, a guy named Joe, who's another good friend of mine. We just lost him because he got a full-time job at Fullerton College. And so he can't do his teaching assistant anymore. And we need someone to fill that space in. What? So he's like, send me up a tape or something, right? So send me up a tape. So it just happened that Frank Matenza was a protege of Joe Pass, right? So he studied with Joe Pass. Joe Pass was one of his friends. Joe Pass is one of my favorite jazz guitar players of all time. If you don't know Joe Pass, just go check out Joe Pass Virtuoso. It's mind-blowing. Solo guitar, jazz guitar, crazy chops. Anyway, I love Joe Pass, and Frank Matenza was his prodigy. So it was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So it just happened, another one of those things in the mystery of life, that I had just recorded at a buddy. He was an engineer, audio engineer, and he's like, hey, I got this studio time. I want you to come record so I can get some practice recording. So I went out there and I recorded, and I was recording some jazz guitar, recording some bass, and I just happened to have that CD that I just got back. I'm like, perfect. I sent it up to Frank. Okay, here's the deal. I didn't have to audition. Like most time, I got to go audition. You got to do all this paperwork. They're just like, we want you. Just like that. We want you to come up. We dig you. We like your CD. We like what Kristen Corbin had to say. We want to offer you this teaching assistant. Out of nowhere, right? I mean, this is like mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing that all of a sudden, this guy, me, who didn't have any plans after except to go to Europe and travel, now I have a teaching assistant position at the University of Southern California, one of the best schools in the world, and has a fantastic music department, has a studio jazz guitar department. That's me. I want to get into the studio world. It was just, how did all that come together at once? And the icing on the cake, and this is the best part about it, is I got to go back. I got to stay. My grandpa had this shop, his workshop. Behind the workshop, he had a house there that he was like, he kicked the tenants out. He let me move into it. That house and that shop eventually became my studio. I got to go back home, be with my grandparents again. I actually helped them, which was amazing, right? As they got older and passed away, I was able to be there for them, just like they were there for me when I was a kid raising me. So it was like, I don't know. It was more than, it's not just coincidence that this happened. It's definitely not coincidence. And it's one of those blessings that for some reason, all these random, what seemed like random events all came together and made this happen. And so I then went on to USC. I did go to Europe, by the way. I did have my guitar, traveled through Europe, and great trip. But I did go to USC. I did get my master's in music and studio jazz guitar. And I'm not going to talk too much about it, but that event, going to USC, meeting the people that I met, which then led to the commercials I played on, the albums I played on, the artists I worked with, all the stuff that I did was because of that. All the jobs I got, the teaching jobs, the touring, everything. Everything was because of that one magical event that got me to USC, got me back to LA, and that changed my life forever. And everything I've done since that day has been some way related to the connection of USC. Somehow that's always worked out. So anyway, USC or bust, I am forever a Trojan. I'm so proud that I am a Trojan. Fight on. Go Trojans. And that's my story. So I guess just to, now a little bit about my journey from San Diego back to LA and how I then spent the next 20 years as a studio LA musician. But also, hopefully just that you understand that there are things that happen in life that are beyond your control and that they happen no matter how much you can force them, you can want them, but sometimes you got to let the universe, you got to let God, whatever you want to think about it, you got to let things happen. And if you just go with the flow, you get in one with the universe, magical things happen. Absolutely magical. And it's just been a blessing ever since. So anyway, that's my journey. Fight on. Thanks for being here. I didn't really ask you to leave any comments, but leave a comment below if you dig the story. Are you a Trojan? If you're a Trojan alumni, leave that comment below. You know we're a family if we do that. Or maybe you went to UCLA like my wife did, and you're one of the crosstown rivalry. But anyway, I do appreciate you being here, listening to my story. Again, this is all part of my blog, ukulelethepros.com. Check out all the stuff we got. Check us out on Instagram. We got a great Patreon page. We got great courses and lessons over at ukulelethepros.com. And then, of course, we got the store as well. So that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you being here. You know that. You know that. And thanks for listening to my words. Be safe. Take care of one another. And we'll see you next time.